and straightly strike on the head, and that will touch the every aspect of your life, every dimension of your life, then definitely you are welcome on the show, the Pavi Show, where I always, raise the question, raise the issues, raise the topic that are relevantly, touch the, lifestyle of ours, lifestyle of all the people around the universe. So today, I have taken the topic global politics, and the article that I have extracted from the source is the genuine source is Wikipedia. en dot m dot wikipedia dot org. If I do not mention, then it will gonna be trouble, it will gonna create the trouble for me. So for the sake of the issue of plagiarism also, I need to mention the source from where the article that I have taken right now, away for you guys. So this is the morning show. This is the reading session where I talk about the issues. It's very much prominent for all week, guys. That gonna help you a lot. Okay. Global politics, also known as world politics, names both the discipline that studies the political and economic patterns of the world and the field that is being studied. At the center of that field are the different processes of political globalization in relation to questions of social power. The discipline studies the relationship between cities, nation states, cell states, multinational corporation, non-governmental organization, and international organization. Current areas of discussion include national and ethnic conflict regulation, democracy, and the politics of the national self-determination, globalization and its relationship to democracy, conflict and peace studies, comparative politics, political economy, and the international political economy of the environment. One important area of the global politics is contention in the global political sphere over legitimacy. Global politics is said by some to be distinct from the field of international politics, commonly seen as the branch of international relations, as it does not stress the primacy of intergovernmental relations and transactions. This distinctions, however, has not always been held among authors and political scientists who often use the term international politics to mean global politics. It has been suggested that global politics may be best understood as an imaginary of a political space existing beyond the sub-national, national, and international. This imaginary structures global politics as both a field of study and a sheet of practices, and though it only rose to prominence in the late 20th century, has longer historical roots stretching back at least to the creation of medieval Mappa Mundi and to first contact between Afro-Eurasia and the Americas through colonialism and the age of sail. Defining the field, beginning in the late to 19th century, several groups extended the definition of the political community beyond nation states to include much, if not all, of humanity. These internationalists include Marxists, human rights advocates, environmentalists, peace activists, feminists, and minority groups. This was the general direction of thinking on global politics through the term was not used as such, the way in which modern world politics is implemented is structured by a set of interpretation dating back to the rise of European powers. They were able to overtake the rest of the world in terms of economic and military power. Europeans, with their global supremacy, imposed their own system and views on others through envisioning the world as a whole and defining the regions of the world as modern or backward. This saw nation statehood as the best and highest form of political organization, therefore, viewing world politics as a result of the pursuit of hegemony by competing states. The modern world politics perspectives is on work, transitional relations, and world politics. Here, the authors argue that state-centric views of international relations were inadequate frameworks to utilize in political science or international relations studies due to the increased globalization. Today, the practices of global politics are defined by the values, norms of human rights, ideas of human development, and beliefs such as internationalism or cosmopolitanism about how we should relate to each over the last couple of decades. Cosmopolitanism has become one of the key consistent ideologies of global politics. Cosmopolitanism can be defined as a global politics that firstly projects a sociality of a common political engagement among all human beings across the globe, and secondly suggests that the sociality should be either ethically or organizationally privileged over all the forms of sociality. The intensification of globalization led some writers to suggest that states were no longer relevant to global politics. The view has been subject to debate. On the other hand, other commentators have been arguing that its states have remained essential to global politics. They have facilitated globalizing processes and projects not been eclipsed by them. They have been rejuvenated because among other regions, they are still the primary providers of military security in the global arena. They are still the paramount locus for articulating the voices of procedurally democratic national communities and for ordering their interactions with the similar politics, and finally they are indispensable to relations of unequal economic exchange insofar as they legitimize and enforce the global legal frameworks that enable globalization in the first place. Cyclical theories in global politics. George Medolsky defines global order as a management network centered on a lead unit and contenders for leadership. Pursuing collective actions at the global level, the system is allegedly cyclical. Each cycle is about 100 years duration and a new hegemonic power appears each time. Portugal, 1492 to 1580 in age of discovery. The Netherlands, 1580 to 1688, beginning with the 80 Years' War, 1579 to 1588. United Kingdom, 1688 to 1792, beginning with the War of Louis XIV, United Kingdom, 1792 to 1914, beginning with the French Revolution and Napoleonic Wars. The United States, 1914 to predicted 2030, beginning with the World War First and Two. Each cycle has four phases. Global war, which involves almost all global powers, is characteristically naval, is caused by a system breakdown, is extremely lethal, results in a new global leaders capable of tackling global problems. The war is a decision process and analog to a national election. The 30 Years' War, though lasting and destructive, wasn't a global war. Number two, world power, which lasts for about one generation. The new incumbent power priorities global problems, mobilizes a collision, is decisive and innovative. Pre-modern communities become independent on hegemonic power. Number three, delegitimization. This phase can last for 27 years. The hegemonic power falters as rival powers assures new nationalistic policies. Number four, deconcentration. The hegemony's problem solving capacity declines. It adds to a multipolar order of warring rivals. Pre-modern communities become less dependent. A challenger appears successively Spain, France, Germany, and the USSR, and the new global war uses. The hegemonic nations tend to have insular geography, or stable open society, or strong economy, strategic organization, and strong political parties. By contrast, the challenger nations have closed system, absolute rulers, domestic instability, and continental geographic locations. The long cycle system is repetitive but also evolutionary. According to Modelsky, it originated in about 1493 through the decline of Vatican naval power, Chinese abandonment of the naval exploration, and discovery of the sea routes of India and the America. It has developed. Okay, just I am scrolling right now that I'm going through. That's there is a lot. Okay, cyclical theories. Yes, I'm going through cycle. Okay. 30 years war through lasting destructive wasn't a global war. The hegemonic nation tend to have insular geography, a stable open society, a strong economy, strategic organization, and strong political parties. By contrast, the challenger nations have closed systems, absolute rulers, domestic instability, and continental geographic location. The long cycle system is repetitive but also evolutionary. According to Modelsky, it originated in about 1493 through the decline of Vatican naval power, Chinese abandonment of naval exploration, and sea discovery of sea routes to India and the Americas. It has developed in parallel with the growth of nation-state political parties, command of the sea, and dependency of a pre-modern communities. The system is flawed, lacking in coherence, solidarity, and capacity to address the North-South divide. Modelsky speculates that U.S. deconcentration might be replaced by a power based in a Pacific Rim or by an explicit coalition of nations as cooperation is urgently required in respect of nuclear weapons. Modelsky dismisses the idea that international relations are anarchic. His research, influenced by Immanuel Wallerstein, was measured in decades of major achievements, says Peter Junior Taylor. Okay, other references. Okay, these are the important, lines that I have taken from the, Wikipedia. Okay, what is the world political economy? Okay. Actually, this is the information that I am, extracting from, okay, investopedia.com. Okay, Investopedia and application by Kenton, and it is updated June 25th, 2024, and reviewed by Michael Z. Well, fact checked by Melody Kinjan. Okay, what is political economy? Political economy is an interdisciplinary branch of the social sciences. It focuses on the international interrelationships of individuals, governments, and public policy. Political economists study how economic theories such as capitalism, socialism, and communism work in the real world. Any economic theory is a means of directing the distribution of a finite amount of resources in a way that benefits the greatest number of individuals. These ideas can be studied both theoretically and as they are actually used. Public policy that is created and implemented derive from this economic theory. Political economists study both the underlying roots of these policies and their results. Understanding political economy is a branch of social science that studies the relationship that forms between a nation's population and its government when public policy is enacted. It is therefore the result of the interaction between politics and economy and is the basis of social science discipline. Those who research the political economy are called political economists. Their study generally involves the examination through a sociological, political, and economic lens of how public policy and political situation and political institutions impact on country's economic standing and future. In a wider sense, political economy was once the common term used for the field we now call economics. Adam Smith, John Stuart Mill, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau all use the term to describe their theories. The shorter term economy was substituted in the early 20th century with the development of more rigorous statistical methods for analyzing economic factors. Types of political economy. There are several notable types of political economies. Socialism. This type of political economy promotes the idea that the production and distribution of the goods and wealth are maintained and regulated by society rather than a particular groups of people. The rationale behind this is that whatever is produced by society is done so because of those who participate, regardless of the status, wealth, or position. Socialism aims to bridge the gap between the rich and poor, eliminating the ability of individuals or groups to control the majority of the power and wealth. Capitalism, this theory advocates profit as a motive for advancement and the ability of free markets to regulate and drive the economy on their own. The idea behind capitalism is that private individuals and entities are driven by their own interests. They control production and distribution, set prices, and create supply and demand. Communism, individuals often confuse communism with socialism, but there is a distinct difference between those two theories. Communism was a theory developed by Karl Marx, who felt that capitalism was limited and created a big divide between rich and poor. He believed in shared resources, including poverty, unlike socialism. However, under communism, production and distribution are overseen by the government. History and development of political economy. The roots of the political economy as we know it today go back to the 18th century. Scholars during the period studied how wealth was distributed and administered between the people. Some of the early works that examined these phenomena include those by Adam Smith and John Stuart Mill. Jonas did Mill, Antonin de Montresquieu, but the term is probably best ascribed to the French writer and economist Antoine de Montesquieu. He wrote a book called Traité de l'économie politique in 1615, in which he examined the need for production and wealth to be distributed on an entirely larger scale, not in the household as Aristotle suggested. The book also analyzed how economics and politics are interrelated. Adam Smith was a Scottish philosopher, economist, and a writer who is commonly referred to as the father of economics and of the political economy. He wrote about the function of a self regulating free market in his first book, which was called The Theory of Moral Sentiments. His most famous work, An Inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nation, or the wealth of nation for short, helped shape classical economic theory. It was considered the foundation for the field of study or by future economists. John Stuart Mill, the Englishman, Mill combined economics with a philosophy. He believed in utilitarianism, that action that lead to people's goodwill are right, and that those that lead to suffering are wrong. In a sense, he believed that economic theory and philosophy were needed along with social awareness in politics to make better decisions for good of the people. Some of his work, including Principle of Political Economy, Utilitarianism, and a system of logic, made him one of the most important figure in politics and economics. Importance of political economy studies both how the economy affects politics and how politics affect the economy. Importance of the political economy studies both how the economy. Okay, these are okay. Right now I'm plunging to the next size, that is politics review, that is extracted from the sites https colon slash slash www.worldpoliticsreview. Okay, it's very important to know world politics. Okay. Okay. Oh, there are so many, there are so many titles, there are so many series on world politics. Actually, what's going on in, world politics. Okay, I think it will gonna, help a lot if we are, strongly in the position to understand the world politics. So this is the very important, uh, important lesson, or let's say what is. Anyways, I'm going to read the world in 2024 tennis uses that will set the international agenda. Publication date 12 2023. Author Krim Kolomina. Senior researcher CIDOB. Coordinator and editor. Text finalized on December 15th, 2023. This document is a result of collective reflection on the part of the CIDOV research team, coordinated and edited by Krem Kolumina. It includes contribution from S. Ekro, Ena Ayusho, Enna Belistro. 2024 will be a year of ballots and bullets. The election, held in more than 70 countries, will serve as a stress test for the democratic system and the impact of the multiple conflict stoking globally instability will shape a world in the throes of global power shift and a clear regression in terms of humanitarianism and fundamental rights. The erosion of international norms is more acute than ever and events become more unpredictable. 2024 begins wide open, marked by an increasingly diverse and disorganized world with a hanging interest and alliances in issues such as geopolitical competition, green and digital transition, or international security. The economic consequences of the successful crisis of recent years will be more visible in 2024. Economic growth will be weak, and China's downtown will reverberate in emerging economies in a climate of rapid tightening of financial conditions and strong dollar. 2024 will be a year of ballots and bullets, a stress test both for the democratic system and for the multiple conflicts stalking global instability. We still face a world in disarray, in upheaval, and in disputes. This time, however, any analysis hangs on the huge question mark of the intense series of election that will shape the coming year. With all our out hostilities in Ukraine, Palestine, Sudan, or Yemen, we are seeking the most active conflicts of any time since the end of the Second World War. How the various arms conflicts and the outcome of the more than 70 elections marked on the calendar impact one another will set the geopolitical agenda for the coming months are elections that can turn the course of a war. The political fallout of the brutal Israeli offensive in Gaza or the stalemate on the Ukraine front also depend on the presidential race in the United States. The cracks in the transatlantic unity and the increasingly direct acquisition of double standards in the West loyalties are not unrelated to what happens in the United States on November 5th, 2024. A return of Donald Trump to the White House would bring a drastic shift in the power relations, and Washington's position is each of these conflicts, from weapons supplies to the Ukraine government or the support for Israel to confront with Russia and China. It is not only about the future of US democracy. Over 4 billion people will go to the polls in more than 70 countries. The European Union, EU, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Taiwan, Mexico, Venezuela, or Senegal, for instance, major arrives that demographic or geopolitically clock will mark a year of unprecedented electoral intensity and shape a world in throes of global power shift and a clear regression in terms of humanitarianism and fundamental rights. Thank you so much. This much for today. As I'm reading the research that is so important. If you are intensely want to know more about global politics. Thank you so much. Stay always blessed. Love you all.